So welcome everybody to week 2. So excited to be back with you, and I just wanted to say a big congratulations to you so far. Many of you have been posting on the Facebook group and or emailing me, setting your intentions for the week, and really just doing a great job of getting started. I want to remind you that you can never be behind. So wherever you're at, small baby steps towards your wellness is all that we're looking for. So just keep going. Before we get started today, just a couple of things to remind you. We're moving in our pain-free, click-free, clunk-free range of motion. And just to know, you don't always have to maximize your movement to get benefit. Often it's small little focused movements that really help us to build strength. So you don't need to feel like you have to maximize it just to get stronger. I'll do my best to target you to the muscle group that we're using during the exercises so you know where to focus, and simply by focusing builds your neurological connection to that muscle and therefore improves your strength. As you become more familiar with the exercises, you can start to work a little harder and add some more weight to the exercises. A couple other things, when we're going overhead with weights, I want to make sure that we're all working 3 pounds or less, just because it's challenging to the shoulder stabilizers when we're working with 5 pounds overhead, unless you've really been at this for a while and you know that you're capable of doing that. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Be sure to check out the video for core strengthening and the common cueing. That can also help you get the most benefit out of these videos. So here we go. We're getting started with our week 2 circuit. So we're ready to get started. We're going to go ahead and start with our shoulder circles, and we're just thinking right now of warming up our joint system. These motions aren't big, we're not maximizing anything, we're just getting fluidity going through the body, getting the circulation moving, and really getting that chance to get in touch with the body and how it feels. We'll reverse directions here for a few circles. We're starting to think about our alignment from our feet all the way through to the crown of the head, getting nice and tall. We're going to add some motion just easy out to the side here. So today we have some shoulder moves that we're working on, and so we're just getting the body ready to go into this range of motion. If you feel like coming into this motion during your warm-up is already challenging or is uncomfortable, you may stay lower down, and that will inform you as to how to move during your exercises. We're going to go up and overhead for 3 and 2 and 1. We're reversing directions for 3, 2, and 1. We're going to just start with a gentle reach back and then arm bone back. So today again we're going into these ranges of motion in our exercises, so we just want to get the body warmed up in these ranges of motion. If you need to stay lower, that's fine too. So if you find coming high gives you a click or a clunk, I'll just have you stay low to get started for today. We're going to move into our hip zone, getting our hips warmed up. So standing onto our right foot, having the arch in the foot really ready to go from the ball of the toe through to the back of the heel. You're going to stand onto that right foot, lift the left leg. Think about taking your thumbs to your rib cage, your fingers to your pelvis, and we're just simply going to turn our leg bone in the socket. So we're trying to keep this pelvis area nice and quiet. We're literally just softly moving that leg bone in the socket. So remembering this is just a joint warm-up. We're not maximizing our range of motion. No stress or strain or pull. Switching over to the other side. Plant the foot, find the arch, feel the lift through the pelvis, bend the knee. You're going to rotate the leg bone in the socket, inward and outward. So as you're doing this, you're watching that your pelvis isn't moving around. You're just moving that leg bone in the socket. Last 3 and 2 and last 1. From here, let's go to wider feet, and we'll get going with a little bit of that hip hinge from last week. So one hand to the front, one hand to the back, the tailbone area, and we're just gently doing some folding at our hips. So we're trying not to bend in our back, so from the side view, we're trying to keep the spine nice and long. So it's a hip hinge versus a back bend. Okay, last 3. Good, just getting that hip motion going. 2, easy with the body here. Last 1 and back to the front. We'll take our hands wide and then we'll tap down to the knees. So this is where we get to practice sort of sticking the bum out back behind us, so that when we do these bending motions of the knee, it's not so much of a knee grind, but it's more of a hip motion. We want our hips to be moving as much as our knees in all of these leg exercises. We're going to do last 3. Good, nice opening. 2. Good, last 1. And come on up. We'll bring the feet nice and parallel, and then we're coming up onto the balls of the toes. So think now about lifting through your arches, keeping your big toe planted. You're equally weighting the big toe and your baby toe. So arching as you come up. And now you want to get some energy again, lifting into that pelvic floor area. You don't want to squeeze your buttock too hard. Think of this more as an ankle range of motion than a whole leg movement at this point. Last 3. Good. And then 2. And last 1. So you should feel your body getting nice and warm now. We're going to open the legs a little bit wider and just finish with some hip circles in both directions. Thinking about stirring the leg bones in the socket. Back in the other direction. And then bringing our feet back together, finishing off with the pelvis. Our hands are going to go to our side waist. Take a soft bend in the knees, and you're just going to practice shifting your pelvis right to left. So you're centering the 2 bones and then tipping over to the right. So imagine that the side waist gets a little bit shorter on one side, then you center a little bit shorter on the other side. We often have one side that's easy for us to do and one side that's a little bit harder. Again, this is a warm-up, so making sure you're not pushing, you're not trying to maximize your range so much as you're just starting to feel the joints moving, get the synovial fluid flowing, and get ready for your exercises. We're almost ready to go with our circuit. We'll be moving through 3 circuits again today. 50 seconds on, 10 seconds to prepare. Then we'll go down to the mat to finish with our exercise routine for today. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with our first exercise. We're building on what we worked on last week. So to start, we're working into our hinge and our step back. Today we're going to bring our hands forward, and we're going to exhale, draw the knee to center, and then up towards the chest, bringing your hands to the side. So you're reaching forward and then drawing your hands to the side. With this exercise, we're focusing on twisting through our center here as we bring our hands to the side. So that's move number 1. We'll be alternating that with a hop to the side, so getting low here and either stepping side to side, focusing into the buttock, or starting to add some hopping motion. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Getting my timer ready. I'll go ahead and grab my lighter weights for a little element of challenge. So level 1, no weights. Level 2, you're going to pick up your 2 or 3. Turning to the side, finding the hinge, out in front, stepping back, and we're going to exhale, draw that weight to the side. So we're exhaling as we draw it in. We're not going too high with the weight out front. And where we want to be feeling this is through our crisscross oblique system called our obliques in the abdominal area, as well as the standing leg hip. So you're reaching and pulling, reaching and turning. Hands forward, hands to the side. Your standing leg is working, and you're thinking about contracting your abdominal muscles right below the navel. We've got a few more to go, and we're going to get ready for our next exercise, hop to the sides. So starting with our hands out in front, take a small bend in the knees, bending the elbows. First of all, level 1, we're stepping side to side. You're focusing your energy into the back buttock here, and your hands are staying nice and level. To add the element of challenge, level 2, you're picking up a bit of speed. You're exhaling as you hop to the sides. You're keeping a nice long back here. For more challenge, you can drop a little lower. You want to feel like you're sharing the load between the glutes and the quadriceps. So long and tall in the spine, hands staying level out front. Next round, for level 2, you can go ahead and add the weight to the arms. Using the exhale, we're going over to our other side. So starting from the front, grabbing your weight, or level 1, I'll do it without. So hands coming forward. Stepping back on your opposite leg, we're going to exhale to the side. So it's a nice twisting motion as you pull. I want to go, actually, my mistake. We're going over to the side of the knee that's bending. That's the way we want to move. So we're turning and curling towards that side. You're thinking about staying in between 2 walls. You have a wall on either side of you. So we're not tipping over to the left or tipping over to the right. We're trying to stay nice and square. We're exhaling with each drive. And we are feeling this in the hip of our standing leg and through our crisscross abdominal system. We're going back to our side hops. You can add weights if you want to for level 2s. You'll come low hands here or high hands here, more challenge. If you start to get tired, you can drop the elbows or bring your hands to the side. So we're staying here at level 2, and it's a small, quick step if you're at level 1 here. So for this, you want to make sure you're maintaining arches in your feet as you hop side to side. You don't want to feel like you're collapsing onto the inner border of your foot. You're staying with the flow of that breath. If you start to feel this creep into your neck, holding the weights, I want you to lower them down. And again, remember, you can get lower and lower so long as you keep some focus in the glutes and the fronts of your thighs. We're going into round 3. This time we're going to alternate our steps. So getting ready, take a breath, exhale, here we go. Weights out front. So this time I'm going to draw it to that hip, change sides. Draw it to the hip of the leg that's moving. So a little bit more going on in this motion. You can add speed as you understand the movement, and you're feeling it through the oblique system here with that twist. You want to feel like your thigh is being lifted from deep within your abdominal cavity. Watch that those shoulders don't start creeping up towards your ears. We're almost there. You got 5 seconds. Good. Getting ready for our next move to finish our hops to the sides. Go ahead, picking up the weight, so out in front, bend the elbows, lifting to here level, and getting ready to go. So if you're getting more confidence with this, you're adding a little bit of speed and just getting low enough that you feel that both the glute tissue here and the quads are working. If it's all quad, I want you to come up a little higher. Keep flowing with the flow of the breath, thinking about what are the arches of my feet doing. So being mindful that you're not collapsing to the insides of your feet. You got 15 seconds to go. If you're feeling it on the outsides of your hip, then you want to make sure that you're really planting your foot well when you change sides. If you're getting into a bit of struggle with that, slow it down and just do a side step. All right, we're going on to our next move. So it's going to be a high row with a lunge. I'm just going to scoot my mat forward. So for here, for arm motion, hands out front, you're going to draw your elbows high and back. So front, high and back, front, high and back. You're going to add a step back to that motion. You're going to alternate. So we're going out front and then high. If you find that going high here is hard on your shoulder, or you get clicking or clunking, you can do the same thing, low elbow.
So where is this meant to be felt? Sort of through our deltoid area here, the tip of our shoulder, and the back of your shoulder blade. Where we don't want to feel it, again, is up here into our neck. We're trying to keep our pelvis level with all of the stepping back. If you find it too much coordination to do all of the movements at once, you can focus on just the arms. All right, we're getting ready to pair that up with a side arm step back. So grabbing onto your nice low weights. From here, we're gonna bring our hands, one arm out to the side, the other arm right to the chest, and then we're switching. We're gonna add a small, just more like a knee pulse with this. So what I'm thinking is that I'm getting longer with my arms as they're lifting. I really wanna watch out for hiking shoulders. So again, if I find that the weights are feeling too stressful to the shoulder joint, I'll go ahead and I'll put those down, or I'll move to a lighter weight. In round 2, we'll add a bit more leg motion. So it's simply out to the side, a straight arm lift. The hand can stay slightly out in front of the body. We're going back now to our high row lunge. So I'll hold weights for this one. Getting ready, take a couple shoulder circles, breath out. Remembering hands forward, elbows high and back. Now we're going to add our step back, this time adding a small bend to both knees. So here, we want to be sure that if we're going to add the double knee bend, that our knee is not starting to creep forward, and that we're really able to hold the legs centered over the ankle. So you're going to keep going with that. But what I mean by that is that you're not going to the inside with your foot and your knee. You're taking your leg bone, turning it out, and holding it centered. That will allow you to drop down using your hip joint. We've got about 10 more seconds to go. So from the side, we want to feel like it's a double knee bend, that I'm not going forward with my knee, but I'm really sitting back into my hip. We're going to go back to our side arms with our step back. So getting ready, take a breath, and out. Here we go. Side arm lift, side arm lift. So this is for the deltoids, the tip of your shoulder, and also your shoulder stabilizers. We'll keep with the pulses for this round, so it's just easy knee pulses just to keep the body moving. Exhaling with each rep. Exhale. So we're really building our shoulder stabilizer strength. This would be done well with a 1 pound, a 2 pound, or up to a 3 pound. If again you've been at this for quite some time and you're really feeling confident that this is not moving into your neck and really staying in the tip of your shoulder, this area here, your deltoid, you can increase over time to a 5 pound. But you want to make sure that you really are not feeling that elsewhere in the body. We'll go ahead to our last one of high lunge step backs with the row here. So out in front, adding the row, stepping back, double knee bend. Step, double knee bend. So if you've got the hang of it, you can turn that into a nice flow. You want to feel like your pelvis is staying level, so you're not sticking your hips out as you're doing this. So again, if it just means that you need to stay with a step back for now, or simply just doing the arms, level 1 here, that works too. We've got about 13 seconds to go. We're really trying not to load into our knee joint, so we want to wake up that hip and combine that with our core, and we're keeping those shoulders out of those ears. We've got another 2, and last 1. We'll go ahead and put the weights down for a second, getting ready for round 3. You're going to turn your arm bones in the sockets so that your palms face up. You want to feel open here, but not squishy in the back. From here, we're bringing the hands high to about shoulder level, elbows are soft. Then we're going to add in the leg motion. So as you're doing this, you want to be feeling the side of your hip here, activating to bring your leg out. What you don't want to feel is that it's going all the way down your leg as a tightening sensation. So it's just a muscular action right in the side of that hip. We're going to do it with no weights to get started this round. We're sticking to that same side. Just a few more seconds. Last 2 and last 1. Moving from our move last week, widening our feet, taking our leg bones and turning them out in the socket slightly. You want to be wide enough that you feel it as you go down, your knees can open wide, rotate and open wide so that they track over that second toe. And for this week, we're going to stay in this position. We're going to just push and pull. So it's push and pull. So you want to be feeling this all through your core as you're really activating that internal cylinder. You want to maintain a small arch in your low back, but you want to be careful that you aren't overarching or popping your ribs forward. So there's a connection between your bottom ribs and your pelvis. So it's just a gentle push-pull. We're activating our inner thigh and our outer hip here to support our quadriceps. Last 3, last 2, and then last 1. We're getting ready for going back to our jumping jack other side. We'll add the weights for those of you who are ready. So to get the arms going, soft elbows, hands lift. Watch out for this hiking action here. Other hip out to the side. So again, you want to be feeling like the motion's coming from your side hip here. Okay. And then adding the arms back. Our core is active all the way around. So the front, the back, the bottom. That inner cylinder is going strong. We've got 20 seconds to go. It's our nice modified jumping jack. A lot nicer on your pelvic floor than when we're actually doing the full jumping jack. We've got 6 seconds to go. Working the hip of that standing leg, the outer hip here, and then going back to our wide leg push and pull. We'll place the weights back down, widen our stance, just be mindful of your weights. Feet are slightly turned out, but coming from your hip socket, try not to overturn them out. Just a small opening. Our knees widen as we drop, and we go to wherever we can. It might be here, or with a little bit of width. Some of you might take that pelvis and drop it just a little lower, being mindful that you're feeling a gentle stretch here and no pinching in the back. So we're pushing and pulling. Push. It's like you're moving through dense, thick air. As you pull back, this is where we want to avoid the squeezing of the shoulder blades together. It's just a nice, easy pulling back through the backs of your shoulder blades, but not actually squishing them together. We've got 2 seconds and up. We've got our last round here before we're ready to come down to the mat. So this time we're going to alternate legs side to side. Getting ready, palms up, soft elbows. So here's where you can add a little bit of speed. You want to be careful with this one not to add too much speed, because that's typically when the shoulder stabilizers might kind of kick out and you might start compensating with your bigger muscle mass here of your deltoids. So as you're going into this motion, it's like there's a supportive lift from the undersurface of the arm, like you're being floated up into that position versus thinking about lifting up this way. So it's like almost like a float. And that float comes from your middle back to help you lift the weights out to the side. You got 7 seconds to go. You're working that outer hip on the side of the leg that's moving, and we're ready to finish off with our wide legs. So finding the width in your stance, a slight turnout, length through your back, strength through the front and the back. We're going to widen our knees slightly, and so keeping the knee over that second toe. For now, we're going to drop round 3 as low as is comfortable for you, and then we're pushing and pulling, pushing and pulling. So I'm going to have you actually exhale with the push. You're doing a great job. You're staying balanced on the inside and the outside of the feet. You're feeling a comfortable stretch or elongation through there, not a pull. No binding in your hip joint. If you need to, come up higher. Or if you're comfortable and need a little more challenge, you drop 1 more centimeter for your last 3. Good, 2. And last 1. And come on up. All right, we're going to get ourselves ready to go down onto the mat for some of our core work. So we're on our mat, we're going to turn onto our knees and eventually go to our hands and knees. So I'm going to get you to turn down onto your knees. And you're going to just tuck your toes under and sit back just a little bit, coming up onto your knees. In this position here, you want to imagine you have that small curvature in your low back. So you're not in a big arch here, but you're not flat backed either. So you're just nice and in between with that small curve. You want to keep that curve as you hinge forward at those hips, bringing your hands onto the floor. So you should pop yourself into about that same position of your spine here. In this position, those deep muscles of the core are most likely to be in the right alignment to work. And I want you to imagine a ruler running between your 2 hands and your 2 knees. Keeping your nose over that ruler, you're going to activate that deep inner core, so lifting from that pelvic floor and then activating across the front and the back of the body. From here, we're going to equally weight both hands. Think about softly pushing your left foot into the floor and your knee down into the ground to slide your right leg back behind you. Let's bring it back to this position. So we're going to exhale and slide back. So the goal here is to picture yourself over the center of that ruler and that your core system here is supporting you so you can move your leg. We're going to try just a couple more on this side and we'll switch over to our other side. So come back through center, again making sure you're equally weighted on both hands. You also want to watch out that you don't sag through your shoulders and pop your neck. So you want to gently imagine lifting the back of your heart towards the ceiling, spreading your fingers and elongating through the crown of your head. So reconnect in with that core. Your right foot is softly into the floor, knee into the ground. Heart is softly lifted and we will extend back on that other side. So it's as though this part of your body is super quiet and still. You feel those deep core muscles working. You want to watch where your rib cage is in relationship to your pelvis. If it starts to drop down too much, you won't feel those core muscles activate as much. You're going to do last 2 and last 1. We'll take a small stretch here, so taking your right hand underneath the body, rotating gently and just reaching it down and onto the floor. You can place your head down and reach your left arm overhead. Take a breath here and out. Bring that hand back to help push you up, back to center. Take your left hand rounding in underneath the body, placing your head on the floor, your hand out overhead, and take a breath in here and out. And then bring the hand back, pressing yourself back up. We've got 1 more round here, so again, lifting through the back of the heart, elongating through the crown of the head, finding your strength through your deeper core. And this time, to add the challenge, we'll let the left foot reach into the ground, knee into the ground, reaching the right foot back behind. And you can either stay with move number 1 or level 2, you're going to do a slight leg lift, hand forward. So it's just a small little bit of arm motion and leg motion. It doesn't look like a lot, but what you're doing is controlling your center here. So we're not sagging through our core, we're just moving our leg bone and our arm bone. And of course, this arm here, the tricep is working to help hold us stable. You also want to focus some energy into the bottom of your shoulder blade, so it's again not up in your neck. Last 2. And last 1. You will feel this lightly in the glute of the leg that's moving. Back to center. Picturing that ruler, plant your right foot. Slide your left leg back. Hand forward. Keeping this part of the body nice, quiet, and still, we're adding in some small motions for 8, 7. We're trying not to let our low back move. If you're not sure and you'd rather have your hand here to monitor versus out in front, that's fine. Last 2. Good. Last 1. And come on down. Sitting back into a high hip stretch or a low child's pose. Taking a breath in here and then out. Before we turn onto our back, coming down onto the side first and onto the back. We're going to finish with our last core exercise. So imagine that your pelvis is level. So sometimes we may be one direction or the other direction. It's sometimes hard to know, but if you just support your head and take a quick look, you want to envision the 2 bones being level. If you see one is totally out of alignment, you want to just think about gently leveling those 2 bones out across center. From here, we're going to go ahead and activate that deep inner core on our exhale, and we're going to, from the strength of our core, bring our right knee to 90 degrees. We'll take our left hand behind our head, tuck our chin slightly. There's a small little bit of curvature in your low back, so it's not smushed flat into the floor. Take your right hand to your bottom ribs. Now with your chin tucked, you're going to use the strength of your core to softly lift the head off of the ground. Your neck is relaxed and your jaw is relaxed. You're connected to your deeper lower core muscles here. And from the strength of those muscles, now we focus on our ribs and we're going to bring ourselves into a small curl. So we're going to start introducing our abdominal curl. And what you want to feel is that these deep lower muscles are initiating this movement. And then subsequently, it's just what I would call a tipping of the rib cage on a stable base. We're not flattening our back. And we're doing our very best to just not move just the head and the neck. So once you've got that slight chin tuck, it's all about the ribs and the strength of the core. Last 3, and 2, and last 1. We'll bring the right foot back down to the floor, open the hands, sway a little bit right to left. This is just a very simple, easy rocking motion, not too big. And then we'll come back to center, re-level those pelvic bones so that they're equal side to side. Take the right hand behind the head, tuck the chin slightly. Connect to the deep core abdominal muscles to lift the left leg. Front of the thigh is relaxed. Hand goes to the bottom ribs, slight chin tuck. Use the strength of the core to lift the head slightly. And now it's all about the curling of our rib cage. We're going to move through 10. So you've got 7 more. Your focus on this round 1 of week 2 is just to get that idea of really connecting to the whole of your abdominal wall. So it's not just a grippiness at the base of your rib cage, and it's not a clenching of the buttock, but that whole deep core system is curling you into this position. You've got last 2 and last 1. Bringing your feet down to the floor, hands to the side, and a small tip right to left. We're going to turn to our side and come to our stretch to finish. So we're going to have you grab a blanket or some blocks for you to sit on. So I'm bringing my blocks to the center of my mat. I'm going to go ahead and have a seat. Most of us don't have the flexibility in our hips and our lumbar spine to sit flat on the floor in a cross-legged position, so we want to get up high here. We're thinking about being long and tall, so we don't want to slouch backwards. We're thinking about sitting on the midpoint of our sitting bones or even towards the front edge of them. We'll take our right hand up here, soft and easy. We're going to exhale over to the side. And then inhale, other arm up. And then exhale over to the right. We're going to alternate back and forth, right to left. It's just a nice easy motion here, a nice gentle side stretch. So inhale up and exhale to go over. You've got one more here, inhale and up. We're going to add a small twist, so we'll inhale here, come over to the side, we'll pause, and then curling from our navel and our upper ribs, we're going to turn towards the right. I should say your left. We're going to hold here, breathing into your back ribs here, breath in and out. Other arm up, side tip. Find a small bit of rotation in your spine. Breathing into the back of your shoulder and back of the ribs, back of the lungs. Inhale and out. One more to each side. So up, rotate, and round, and back. And one more up, side bend, rotate, breath in, and out. We'll open out to the side and to center and round, and one more open and center and round. We'll come onto the mat for our final stretch of our gluteal muscles. So you can bring your blanket or your block to the end of the mat, come onto your side and then down onto your back. Placing the feet up onto the block, we're going to bring our right leg up to 90 degrees. Now we're rotating our leg bone in the socket, only as far as it will go without your pelvis changing shape. You're going to then place your ankle over your opposite knee. From here you may already feel stretch in the back of the hip, but if not, with the strength of the core, you're going to bring your legs a little closer. Maybe go ahead and grab behind the back of the knee and draw it in. If in this position you feel like you're really cricky in the neck here and a nice back bend, go ahead and grab a pillow, place it underneath your head, and that will help quite a bit. So in this position, we're stretching the outer hip here. You can also have your foot down on the block and just bringing it a little closer. We're going to stay here for 2 breaths, so inhale and out, and one more, and out, and then going ahead over to the other side. So knee to chest, rotate the ball in the socket, place the ankle over the knee, either grabbing the shin and or the back of the opposite leg, drawing it in towards you. You can support it with the strap to hold, and again placing a pillow underneath your head. If you find that your neck is in a big back bend here, you want lots of length through there. You want to feel like your tailbone's heavy on the mat, and again the stretch is for the back of the hip of the bent knee that's crossed over. So one more breath here, and out. Let's do one more for good luck, and out. Bringing your foot back down onto the block, and just take a moment opening out to the side. And one final inhale, exhale for this sequence. And a nice exhale, So that concludes our week 2 strength video. Look forward to seeing you in our group and see you next week for week 3. Take care, everyone.